Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, brother. Thank you for being here, man. How they treat you in LA?
You know what? The weather's nice. It's not as uh, I am legend as it was like the
Yeah,
first, I would say like that first 2 weeks.
yeah.
You
Same
know,
here in Atlanta, brother. Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's not bad. You know what I mean? People are practicing social distancing, and it's actually kind of cool to see the street not so like overpopulated
Mm-hmm.
and so crowded. You know what I mean? I kind of feel
Exactly.
when I go to certain cities. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Guys, we're on the line with the talented Alton Glass. Get your questions ready. He is about to drop some gems. We're going to have a great conversation. Welcome to episode 15. So let's jump right into it. Alton Glass is an award-winning immersive storyteller, writer, producer, and director in the industry. Alton is credited with directing hit films like Crew, TV One's The Secret She Kept, and The Confidant, to name a few. Alton stepped into the world of immersive storytelling and became a trailblazer with his hit sci-fi series POV. His catalog of work has allowed him to be an ABFF Jury Prize winner for Best Screenplay, Best Director, Best Narrative Feature Film, and Best Film for his film The Crew. For his film Crew, I should say. Additionally, he is a Bronze Lens Film Festival Award winner for Best Feature, Best of the Festival, and Audience Awards for his film Crew, and also a winner of the Pitch Black Pitch Public Media 360 Virtual Reality Competition. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleague, my brother, Alton Glass.
What's
Whew,
up?
my brother, my brother. So, guys, we about to jump right into it. So, Alton, how did you get your start as a director?
Man, as a director, whew, I started off wanting to be an actor first.
Uh-huh.
I was inspired by Robert Townsend when I was in like middle school when I saw Five Heartbeats, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, man, I want to be an actor because I didn't know, people made, I didn't know that he made the films. You know what I mean? I
Uh-huh.
just enjoyed that process way it made me feel. So my mom, my dad got me into like getting on set in Atlanta. Actually, my first movie was what we call Season in Purgatory, and then Mama Flora's Family. I was
Mm.
Blair Underwood stand-in,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And then I fell in love with the behind the scenes, and I started asking questions. And I was like, hey, I thought actors made movies. So directors make movies and producers and writers. So that's
Uh-huh.
when I shifted my gears and I started working as a production assistant. When I was old enough, when I got to college around like 17, 18, I interned a little bit, and at 18 I started PAing on set. And then
Yeah.
I got an opportunity to work for a production company in Atlanta called Strange Fruit Films on music videos first, and worked for a number of different directors like Brian Barber and Jesse Terrero and Jeff Bird.
Yeah.
And, that was my start into film, and just started learning the process. And it's a long journey into directing from there, but
Right.
that was my sort of entry point into it. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
You got two. I had two people ask me that question when I started directing, and then when I started getting paid for directing. It was
Oh
two
yeah,
different
that's a difference. Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah. Guys, we are on the line with the talented Alton Glass. Get your questions ready. There is a button on the bottom with a question mark. Welcome to a special episode 15 of Director's Corner with director, writer, producer, immersive storyteller Alton Glass. Get your questions ready, guys. So, Alton, you have a very unique journey. You went from directing live action narratives to immersive virtual directing. But before we get into the immersive aspect of your career, let's talk about your hit films Crew and the TV One film The Secret She Kept. So this is my question for you, Alton. What was the most challenging aspect of directing your indie film Crew versus directing the TV movie The Secret She Kept?
When you're raising your own money to go and make your films, that's always a process. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Raising the money, and a lot of times when you do raise the money, you may not have all of the money,
Uh-huh.
uh, but you have a certain time that you need to get this film made so that you can get it out to a certain festival or a certain window because that's going to elevate the exposure of your film, right?
Uh-huh.
So we knew, we had to go out and make these films. And I remember when I went out and made Crew, I didn't have all of the money. I had half of the money, and then I had an investor that had committed to the other half.
Mhm.
And I'm not a phone calls, but so they committed to the other half. And what ended up happening was I eventually raised the rest of the money, but I had to get the other half at the end of my last week of production. right? I
Oh,
had to let the
yeah.
whole crew know. I had to let the whole crew know. Look, and this kind of just goes back to just being transparent and honest with your crew. I had to tell all the crew members, look, I don't have the money to pay you this last week. But for those of you who are going to stay on with me that know me, and for those of you who don't, if you don't stay, I understand. I respect your choice.
Uh-huh.
Everybody stayed on. I got everybody paid like 30 days later, and the people that I knew closest, I paid them on it 60 days later. But
Uh-huh.
everybody got paid on the movie. And
Wow.
I eventually licensed it and sold it and so forth. And then after that, I got called to direct films for TV One, and I ended up doing three films for them back to back over the course of I guess like two years. The first one was a Christmas film called Second Chance Christmas, which was a wonderful
Uh-huh.
experience. Michael Rainey Jr. and
Yeah.
Candy and Tank and a few others, and McKinley Freeman, and then Secret She Kept and Welcome to the Family. So that process was different because they already tell you, okay, here's what we're looking to make,
Uh-huh.
and here are some different options of projects that we have in the pipeline. And you look
Yeah.
at the material, see if it's something that you gravitate to, and if you can, find yourself in it, and then they give you the resources to go out and make it. So it's a completely different process.
Mm-hmm.
It's challenging in the sense that as an artist, you have certain things that you might want to do, but you have to
Mm-hmm.
also keep in mind the person that's financing this project, right? That they have a certain way that they need to make this, and a certain audience that they need to appeal to, and certain talent that they like. So it's a mixture, and you just got to try to find that balance so that you can do a product that you're proud of that also makes your client happy.
Totally agree. And very quickly before we go to the next question, do you prefer work for hire projects versus and guys, let me know if y'all hear some feedback. I hear a little feedback on my end, guys. If you hear from some feedback, let me know. But my question to you is this, Alton, do you prefer work for hire projects versus independent projects if you had to choose?
I would say I prefer. It really depends, right?
Uh-huh.
Because here's the formula for me. I'm not necessarily against work for hire projects, but they do have to be fruitful enough to propel you forward enough so that you can go make your independent projects. But if you're doing work for hire projects and you're not having any incremental growth to your career, then you're not gaining anything other than just getting a check, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you're getting the exposure, you might get the nice exposure from that project, or you might get the financing that allow you to invest back into yourself, into your independent project that you
Mm-hmm.
do own. So I believe in,
Mm-hmm.
having a balance of both. You know.
Copy you, guys. We're on the line with the talented Alton Glass. Get your questions ready. There's a button on the bottom with the question mark. Put all your questions there. We will get to those towards the end of the session. So, Alton, as a director with a strong independent background in film, do you feel that it's easier for independent director with an independent background to direct a bigger film versus a studio director who doesn't have that much experience directing on a smaller budget level? Which one do you think is easier?
That's funny. I remember I had when I first met Tim Story, I was like, "Hey man, I'd love to come shadow you."
Yeah.
It's like, but my problems are gonna be different from your problems. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
can fix my problems with the resources that I have. So he made a very good point. I think that if that's ultimately the direction that you want to go, I think it's really good to be mindful of how you understand how to manage resources, but as an independent. But what you'll find out is when you cross over to doing higher budget projects within a system like that,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be careful not to carry over doing too much. Because I remember when I started doing higher budget projects, I
Mm-hmm.
was used to wearing like 10 hats. And
Yeah.
the producers were like, no, 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 no. We don't need you doing that. Just
Yeah.
focus on the vision. Focus on the vision in the movie. You tell us what you want, who you need, and that's it. So you have to like really understand how to let go to a certain degree and trust the team that they're trying to put around you as well. So I think it's good to have both. I do know, studio directors who have tried to go back to, who have wanted to go back to independent filmmaking because they do miss being able to have their hands in all of the little nooks and crannies and crafting those experiences, you know what I mean, and those nuances.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's interesting, man.
Yeah.
I think having both and being able to stay grounded so that you're not dependent on studio projects is where you want to be. You can go make studio projects and be able to go back to go make any project that you're really passionate about. Because it's okay to get you a cash grab every now and then.
Of course, of course. Guys, we're on the line with the talented Alton Glass emerging storyteller. Please get your questions ready. There's a button on the bottom with a question mark. You put all your questions there, guys. So, Alton, how do you find your voice as a director? And how has your voice changed since stepping into the world of immersive storytelling?
It's funny you say that. I remember when I just started directing, people was like, what's your voice? What's your voice? And take the pressure off of trying to ask yourself or force yourself into saying, this is my voice. Because your voice is going to change with you as you grow as an artist and as a human being, right? So like if you listen to Jay-Z, he was a different artist when he came out, when he made, his first early albums, and he's a different person than he's now when he made, newer albums, right? So you got to look at it like that. As you grow, your voice is going to grow, your voice is going to change. So I don't think you have to box yourself into saying, this is my voice. For me, I think my voice has changed, and I've been able to articulate my voice better by the things that I've experienced and the things that I want to say that I'm passionate about. And I'm much more clear about these things, and I have a much more awareness of certain issues that connect with me and how I attach to those issues and I articulate them in a way that I can put them on screen or put them into an experience. So you're going to constantly be evolving, as well. You should be constantly evolving, and your voice should constantly be evolving.
Totally agree, guys. The questions are loading up. You are getting a lot of love in the comments. We're on the line with the talented Alton Glass. So let's talk all things actors, Alton. So you have seen all types of actors in your career, but what would be what would you say makes some of the great actors in the world of immersive storytelling? What would make a great actor in immersive storytelling?
I was theater actors for sure, because they don't get stuck when the camera stops rolling. And when you're in immersive, everything is it's sort of like theater, right?
Yeah.
So if you walk off, action is still going, right? So actors have a tendency to get, film actors have a tendency to be conditioned to move for the camera, right? Sometimes, right? Or wait. Or they're conditioned for that clock to know, okay, now it's time to move in for my close-up.
Yeah.
Or we're going to block the scene this way or this way. And theater actors, they're using the entire space, and they're not turning off at all.
That's true.
In character the whole time. And that's the kind of performance that you have to carry over into immersive. You know what I mean? You don't perform differently in front of the camera than you do away from the camera in the back. You know what I mean? Because you're in that environment and you're bringing and drawing the audience to you in a scene when you're in immersion.
Totally agree. Film director Joshua Jenkins shouted you out. He said the same thing. He totally agree with you. He has a theater background as well. So yes, you're definitely right about that, Alton. We're on the line with the talented Alton Glass. Get your questions ready. I will get those towards the end of the production. We are honored to be talking to you today, Alton. So Alton, before we talk about your hit film POV, everyone is excited about POV. How has live action directing helped you in your transition to immersive directing and storytelling?
It's a good question. I would say having a traditional background in storytelling, it really helped me move into the immersive space and remember, just by falling on my ass a few times, that even though you are doing immersive content, everything is still grounded in the story. Don't let the tech get ahead of the story, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Authentic storytelling still empowers the technology, right? So you use that storytelling ability as a traditional storyteller to understand how you leverage these technologies to take the story to another level. You know what I mean? And you ask yourself, well, why am I doing this project in the immersive, right?
Right.
Ask yourself why. And having that traditional grounding has helped me look at stories and look at concepts and ideas that I can bring over and enhance them and take you into worlds now, because now you're world building as an immersive storyteller.
Exactly.
It's just another layer to the storytelling that is added for me as a traditional storyteller coming from, traditional live action. And then now you start to see virtual production. So you start to see the blending of the two worlds. So if you ever look up something called Unreal Engine, you're starting to see how, if you look at the Mandalorian behind the scenes, you'll see how they're building these CG backgrounds and they're capturing the actors in real time and the backgrounds in real time. And you're seeing what you're getting. And the director is operating inside of a virtual reality headset, seeing the world come to life. So it's just you're adding those layers to be able to see your vision come to life, like right on set. From the visual effects, everything is already baked in to that experience. So it's pretty amazing what things are going on. You're going to start seeing a lot more of that post-COVID as well.
Awesome. We're on the line with the talented Alton Glass. There's a lot of film directors in the group chat. We have director Joshua Jenkins, director Jamal Hill, and director Jamal Hill. And also, we also have Christopher Nolan in the line. So a lot of directors are on the line watching and listening, and they are totally agreeing with what you're saying. Guys, take notes. We have a lot of gems being dropped today. We're on the line with the talented Alton Glass. So Alton, before we talk about your next film, let's stay on POV really quick. Points of View, guys. That's the name of the hit movie, POV, Points of View. POV is a 6-part science sci-fi series. And the interesting thing about this series is that it's from the POV of the viewers from a drone. So this is my question to you, Alton. What was your inspiration behind the immersive series, and what was the most challenging aspect in directing that?
Yeah, so I got into this program at Google, YouTube VR Lab, and they gave me the initial funding to get the concept started.
Yeah.
I was really passionate about what is the future of technology going to look like in law enforcement, right? Because we see that there's so many different things out there happening to different communities as it relates to law enforcement. So I'm like, well, what would happen if we perpetuate some of these same issues into the technology, and what would that look like? And then on the brighter side, what could we do to create a different narrative as it relates to this technology in the future? So that's when the idea for POV came about, which is led by a young actor, talented actor from Flint named J.J. Green, and I have a wonderful cast in the film, and it's about him, this young man who in the future he's up for parole, and he gets out on early release, but he has to be assigned to a drone, sort of like the old ankle bracelet right? But in the future now you get assigned to this drone as this parole officer, and he's this young, gifted, talented guy who understands artificial intelligence and all this technology, and he's gifted, and he starts spending time with this drone, which is a police officer that's learning from artificial intelligence. And you start to see this camaraderie and this friendship that they build, and how this drone starts to sort of build this relationship with him and develop empathy. So it's really about what could happen if we put the right information into our technology and law enforcement, and you see the outcome at the end of this experience, and we leave it open-ended, with the question of technologies for good. And what do we have to do to insert ourselves into this? That old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to, create a whole new world and see what that looked and felt like. And, we have a great cast, Jalone and Guy and Sabrina Perez. It's a great cast. Kevin Palafox. So a lot of young talent crossed over into doing their first immersive VR experiences as actors, and it was a lot of fun doing it, and it's going to be released in a 6-part series, and it'll also have a online engagement as well, and then it'll also be what they call a LBE, a location-based experience as well. So it's what I call a multi-platform experience, and I think as storytellers, you now have to start thinking about multi-platforming your experiences, and engaging with communities so you can build your audience and carry them with you on all your projects.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm definitely excited to see the whole 6-part series, guys. We are talking about his hit film, POV. And actually, we see JJ Green in the comments. Show JJ Green some love in the comments, guys. All right, Alton, so I read that your goal with POV was to raise awareness about systematic racism against Black people and the dangers we face. The goal, you said that the goal is to use POV to affect real change before it's too late. So my question to you is this, Alton: how important is it for you to use the medium of immersive storytelling to get your point across? And do you feel that the medium was more compelling to audience because it was in the form of immersive?
And that's a good question. I think for me, it was just bringing an eye onto. We already know, we've already heard the Black Lives Matter, the All Lives Matter, and I think that, everyone does matter in the sense of their safety. But we do know that young people, especially in communities that they don't have all of the awareness or the tools to communicate effectively, and understand their rights.
Yeah.
This type of experience is important because I wanted to intrigue you about what these technologies could do for you if you understand how to leverage them. And I felt like wrapping it up in an immersive experience would hopefully be a gateway and a pathway to you saying, you know what, this was a hell of an experience. Now I want to learn about not only one, how can I get into this, but two, I do need to think about what could happen in the future if I get pulled over by a drone and I don't necessarily understand my rights in the future. You know
exactly.
what I mean? So it's a twofold thing, it's basically didactic storytelling. How can we tell stories that educate, you know what I mean, and give you an experience?
Awesome. We are talking about POV, and guys, POV was actually executive produced by Viola Davis, and the narration was done by the talented Viola Davis. We are talking about POV. So, Alton.
Let me hold on. Let me correct that.
So, I'm sorry about
Viola
that.
Davis executive produced another project was called by time.
Oh, you're right.
March.
Yes, March. I'm sorry about that. I got it mixed up. I'm sorry. I kind of jumped ahead. POV was not executive produced by that. It's actually executive produced by Viola Davis. Executive produced the March. I'm going to talk about that next, guys. I kind of got that twisted up. We are on the line with the talented Alton Glass. So, guys, my question to you is this, Alton: how many days did it take for you to film the movie? It's an amazing immersive experience, but I'm so intrigued
Which
by
one?
how many the
POV?
first movie, POV. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to give a shout out to Crooks, who facilitated a lot of relationships and resources for us to get that project completed.
Yeah.
Google and YouTube. And for filmmakers out there, check out BPM, Black Public Media, who has the Pitch Summit. We also won the Pitch Summit, and we're funded by MacArthur Foundation. And we also invited out Certain Foundation, who was also contributors to the campaign and the project with their program called Radical Imagination for Justice through Thriving Cultures, their venture. And as a result of that, we were able to aggregate all this money, and a guy named Martin Jones from Metro East. We were able to get this project completed. It took us about, we actually got it shot in a very short amount of time, like 4 days.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah.
The pre-production is what took the longest.
Yeah.
And the post-production is what took the longest, because we found this this camera system that allowed you to sort of move like a drone, and that was real pivotal to telling the story.
Yeah.
The piece, and we have to do some do some R&D and make sure that we got that part down. But after that, the post-production was a big undertaking for sure.
Awesome.
And that took months.
Yeah, awesome. And I can tell you put in the hard work. We are talking about POV. Guys, get your questions ready. We're on the line with the talented Alton Glass. So now we're going to transition over to the March. My apologies for skipping a little bit fast. The March was executive produced by Viola Davis, and also she narrated that great piece, guys. So the March, you co-created this groundbreaking project at Time Studios to recreate the most realistic recreation of human performance in virtual reality. So my question to you is this, Alton: talk to us about the March and what was your inspiration behind the project?
So somebody's asked. Oh, the camera we used on POV was actually a red camera with a 180 fisheye lens. And we shot that in what they call in 180, or you can do what they call nodal, or you can shoot the scenes in scenes, like in 90-degree chunks, and then you stitch them all together. So that's another process. So we use traditional cinema tools with wide angle lens, and we built the environment around the camera in architectural design programs for the CG. But back to your question, that project was executive produced by Time Magazine, Time Studios, and the co-creator of that project, who spearheaded it, her name was Mia Trams.
Yeah.
She had, kicked that project off like 3 years before me.
Yeah.
And, it was quite, a journey. And they had raised the money with different partners, and partnered with Digital Domain, Viola Davis and her team, Juvie, and Riot, which is owned by Oath or Verizon, and their VR company. So it was a lot of different companies that came together, and I was just fortunate to have put the work in, as a immersive storyteller, that I got a call, and from they were interviewing the directors, and fortunately I had made the short list on all of their lists. So I was referred by all of the executive producers, and I wrote up a pitch. A good friend of mine, Amanda Shelby, works with me in the company, just gave me some good questions that challenged me to really think about it, and wrote a pitch up, and they loved it, and it became a part of the actual the theme of the entire project, and they decided to write a whole new script, and we wrote a whole new script, and one of the co-directors, writers of the project, and also I was a part of creating the installation, which is the actual immersive experience that you actually go to, that launched in Chicago at the DuSable Museum. So it was a wonderful, wonderful process, just seeing how all of those parts come together, from writing, directing, and actual the experiential component at an exhibit. You know what I mean? So you're thinking about the audience, not only from the story, but from the time they come to your experience and the time they leave your experience. So your immersive experience doesn't stop with just the script. It's all the way until they finish, until they, and if you leave them with asking themselves questions and feeling something at the end of that, the job has been done, and that was very fulfilling for me.
And you did a great job, and congratulations. I'm so glad you got the job. I'm so proud of you, brother. We're on the line with the talented Alton Glass. So, Alton, I've had the privilege to actually see the behind the scenes of the march, and I can say that a lot really went into making that great project. But my question to you is this: how important was it for you to find the guy to play MLK? Like I saw the behind the scenes. How important was for you to find the guy to play Martin Luther King, to mimic every movement, to have the facial structure and everything like that?
Yeah. So when that process happened, I mean, they had to find what they call it was two parts to that. First, it was an actor that looks like as close as you can get to King, what they call a face bridge, right? So you can get as close as you can, because if you look at that Time magazine cover that they made, that picture of Dr. King is actually 3D design. It's not a real photo. It was actually a 3D rendering of his face, and it was phenomenal. And then what they do is they get an actor, a guy named Stefan, who is actually a actor, and he does like a lot of motivational speaking engagements in the likeness of King. And they found him because he does this on a day-to-day basis. His movements and everything. And then they put him in he was put in a motion capture suit, and then he does all the performances, and then you match every movement, every nuance to Dr. King's performance, and then you have to use the sort of artistic integrity and respect to match any of the movements that King didn't perform, because back then they didn't have cameras in every angle to capture certain moments where you might have missed King during that moment in the speech. So you just have to take that with delicacy and try to keep it as authentic as possible. But that was a very big process to that film. Mia Trams kicked off that part.
Copy you. And that kind of transitions to my next question, Alton. How long did it take for you all to film that, and what was the most challenging aspect of that production?
Post-production, I mean, you have a lot of different aspects, and even on production, we had 80 actors, and you have to scan all of them, and what they call photogrammetry. You put them in this this sphere with a bunch of cameras, and they do these T poses, and you scan every last actor, drop them into a computer system, and
Yeah.
you put clothes on them. You know what I mean? And you
Mm-hmm.
cut out their hair, and it's a really amazing process. And then from there, you have to scan every last prop, every last piece of clothing.
Yeah.
And then you have to rebuild these things like a whole new world, you know. And then you get a complete asset library that you have to go through, and then you have to do all this research. Shout out to Wesley Jones, who was the story producer on that, and he went back and he was just archiving. And Karshik, who's from Atlanta, we had these historians who were going out and pulling in all this information. And the producer Ari Palace did a great job of just curating that team of historians to be able to make sure that we had the resources, directors and creators, to go in and just lay out the vision and say, you know what, I want this particular character right here, who, you know, who has a very particular look and style to that time period. And we were able to go ahead and find those suits. And Daryl Johnson, who's an Emmy award-winning costume designer, who I was fortunate to be able to get on the project. He goes all the way back to like Poetic Justice and Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
And, he was able to do all of the wardrobe for us. So
oh wow,
we were able to go to a wardrobe house that had all of this 60s clothing, and we were able to pull every last piece of 60s wardrobe, you know, like you're making a movie. You know what I mean?
Of course, and right.
Put all those outfits together, put everybody in, and it was like lights, cameras, action. And then we put it on motion capture. We had to capture every last motion down was it Constitution Avenue that march. You know what I mean? From kids to the elders, their walks. You know, you had to get all the little details of how they walk, talk, and move to recreate. You know, what was it? Some 200,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited to check it out. We're on the line with Alton Glass. This group chat is amazing. We have a lot of producers and directors in the line just to see you, Alton. We have some friendly director competition going on between you and Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill said Alton beat me in 2007 at ABFF for Best Picture. All love though, bro. So yeah, we got some dope director competition going on the line. We got producers on the line, actors. This is a lit. I'm having a blast with you all. I'm having a blast watching this.
I see Jamal out there crushing it though. I see
he killing it. Yeah, Jamal Hill, amazing director. Amazing director.
This thing, man. Keep up the awesome work, bro. I see you.
Yeah, much love, Jamal. I see you, Tia. And guys, before we get to Q&A, guys, we have one more question. Get your questions ready. We're about to go to Q&A. But my last question before we get to Q&A is this. As an immersive storyteller of color, do you feel, Alton, that there is a lack of people of color entering the world of immersive storytelling? And if so, why, Alton?
100%. I would say that was one of the main motivations for me when I went to the first virtual reality expo in LA. There was not much representation at all. I mean, I could probably, I keep in touch now with the 3 that I met, and I met a whole other community of people that are in that space now. But it was a very small group at the time I started. There's a lot more now in it, which is awesome. And I felt like for me, it was, I was looking at how, you know, certain communities have always been at the tail end of industries, right?
Yeah.
And then when the industry is built and the ecosystem is built, then you knock on the door and you say, hey, you know, is there a diversity initiative? And that was just something that I just didn't feel like we should have to look forward to in the future. You know what I mean? The traditional cinema already has that that issue right now, right?
Yeah.
But I think that if we can collectively, now we know some of those issues that have happened. It may not be intentional, or it may be to some people, but I think not looking at that as the problem, but looking at what is the solution. And I believe the solution is immersive technology and immersive storytelling. It's an opportunity to come into a space that has not been created and built yet. And now all these traditional filmmakers can be at the forefront of laying the tracks, because we know the train is going to be coming, and it's going to be, it's coming, it's inevitable, right? So now if you look at the convergence of technology and entertainment, as a storyteller, you gotta say, for me, I lead with my heart, but I follow where the money is going. And I
Yeah.
understand that the technology companies are the ones that are investing in the content companies. So when you understand that and you start looking at, you know, what companies are buying what companies, you'll see companies like Apple,
Yeah.
AT&T, they're buying these technology companies, and they're also moving into immersive technologies to get prepared for virtual reality, augmented reality. And those are all areas where filmmakers will be able to leverage their storytelling capabilities. So for me, it was important to say, you know what? It took me a very significant investment to move into that space. I got to give my wife a shout out for that, my family members who
That's what's up. Yeah.
rocked with me when I took the big investment, leap of faith into immersive tech, because first 2 years, you know, I had to start over and I had to spend everything I made in cinema to move into that space. But now there's a lot of companies that are now supporting filmmakers like Crux, which is CRUXX on Instagram, that are building platforms for immersive storytellers to come and support.
Yeah.
Oculus Launchpad, which I came out of at Facebook, and I still work with Facebook, Verizon. A lot of these companies are now looking on AT&T Shape. They're looking for the next level of storytellers to come in and build this new ecosystem where now you have to look at yourself like a 360 filmmaker. How do I become a storyteller in more than one format, right? So when you can load up your toolkit, now you become a future forward storyteller. You know what I mean? And you don't have to work bottleneck of traditional cinema, because it's enough for everybody. It's enough opportunity for everybody. Just, you know, build some transferable skills as a storyteller. And, you know, look at gaming as well. Gaming is storytelling. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
You know, look at Travis Scott when he went into Fortnite and did over 60 million people. You know what I mean? Thinking outside the box and using your unique abilities as a storyteller, you can look at these other avenues because there are riches in the niches.
Totally agree. Totally agree. You are truly an inspiration, Alton, and that's a perfect segue to our Q&A. Our first question, Alton, is for you. Is from Never Learn to Swim. Alton, I apologize if you already discussed this, but how can an artist find funding for projects?
How can you find funding? Well, I think first for me is creating an initiative around what it is and a goal around what it is you hope to accomplish. Because now you want to find people who, because if it's about making money, you got to stand in line for that, right? But if it's about intention, you can attach your project and really hone in on who's in alignment with those same goals and intentions, and you can go knock on those doors, and you can weed out a lot of what do you call it? Cold calling, right? And you can really tap into the people that are in alignment with exactly what you're trying to do with that project. So like for POV, I understood who I wanted to reach and initiatives. And then we had to find the right people who had those same initiatives. And then they were the ones, they were like, yeah, we got money specifically for that.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
So thinking about your community engagement, like who you're building this for, who your audience, and how you want to serve them, and who's in alignment. Dig deeper into exactly carving out your messaging. You know what I mean? So that you can partner with.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Guys, put all your questions in the Q&A box on the bottom. I see a lot of questions in the comments. Put all your questions in the Q&A. I'm going to try to get as many as possible, guys. Next question for you, Alton, is from Trailer Scores. How much of an adjustment do you think filmmaking will adjust the VOD platforms becoming the reigning methods of distribution?
How much of an adjustment do you think filmmaking will adjust to VOD platforms? Well, if you look at everything, now, if you look at the landscape of the digital market, everything is really a VOD platform, right? Instagram is a VOD platform. You know, it's content everywhere on demand, right? So now it's just a matter of looking at what platform will allow you to hone in a lot deeper into your audience, right? So you now have the tools to say, you know what, I want to make a movie about cool looking meteorites, right? Well, now you got to go do research on the very specific demographic that like meteorites, right? And then what platforms are they hanging out on? What platforms are they talking on? What platforms are they consuming content on? And that may be the VOD platform of your choice for that particular project, right? Until you can say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be a filmmaker that loves making movies about relationships. So then if your movie is about relationships and it's about love and family, then what organizations have initiatives that are all about family and educating you about healthy relationships? And then your platform is designed for that. And then you have the key stakeholders that will fund and feed into that mission. You see what I mean? And you can start underwriting that. And now you got your own platform. So if you think like a platform, you'll be able to drive the money to yourself. You know,
Totally agree.
and bring those partners together.
Totally agree. Great information, Alton. Next question is from Being That. Alton, as a young person trying to get into the industry, can you give any tips on how to start working in indie films?
Independent filmmaking, how to get started. I guess that depends, one, where you're located. And two, I would say, you know, today there's no reason why you can't just go for it. I mean, an iPhone and some videos online will get you started. Now it's just about tapping into a community, whether it's a Facebook group in your neighborhood, it's somebody at a film school looking for somebody to PA or grip on the set. You know, you want to link yourself and get tapped into communities of people that are already in production and get that hands-on experience. And then pretty soon we'll have a platform for that. My company, GRX Immersive Labs, we're going to be launching a platform for those types of tools, which will be an academy to be able to check out equipment. You know what I mean? We ship you equipment. You build a network of people in your community, and you go out and create. You know what I mean? And we refer you opportunities. So I think it's all about understanding that it's community first and really tapping into people in your community to start getting rocking and get to creating. And say, hey, man, I might not know anything, but I have interest and drive, and I want to get on set. And that's what I had to do. Some days you might have to go hand people some coffee, pick up some cash, and move some director chairs. But that's a part of the process, you know?
Yeah, totally agree. Great information, Alton. Next question comes from Ashley. Who do you use for casting actors, or are we able to directly submit our info to you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we take submissions. That, you know, that's how I've met a lot of different actors, a lot of from referrals or, you know, just emails. You definitely can submit to studio@grximmersive.com. We do have, you know, we do check that, and we do a catalog, you know, those emails with talent, and we, you know, we're always looking for amazing new talent. So, and in terms of who I use for casting, it really depends on the project. Sometimes casting directors come with projects that I'm working on, and then sometimes I have, you know, casting directors that I like to collaborate with that I'll hit up and say, hey, I got this idea, I want to go get this knocked out, you know?
Totally agreed. And before we get to the other part of Q&A, Jamal Hill put a question. What's the future of theatrical release, Alton?
I mean, that's a tough question. I don't think theaters will ever die, because I think that there's an interesting part of people wanting to get out of the house and be able to go and be a part of, you know, events. And movie theaters are, you know, really vendors for popcorn and refreshments. You know what I mean? They don't sell you movies. They sell you popcorn and refreshments, and you enjoy having that experience. You see what I mean? So I think that experience is always going to be there. What I do think is that the market will diversify, and you will be able to have these premium experiences, whether it be at home and leveraging, you know, certain immersive technologies that will allow you to still be able to communicate. Like, there's a lot of people doing live VR concerts now that's doing really, really good. A lot of gaming platforms that are doing live events. So I think it'll always have its place, but I think it will become more about audiences driving people to go see their movie than saying, hey, I'm gonna wait and hope my movie does, you know, 3,000 screens and Sony picks it up. I think that you can make just as much money having, you know, 10 screens and selling out the theaters. You see what I mean? As an independent filmmaker, after taxes and distribution fees and marketing and all that type of stuff. It's the same thing as artists back in the days when you signed to a record company 20 years ago, you'd have to sell 3 million records just to become a millionaire. You know what I mean? Now you can go sell 50,000 records.
Yeah.
And if your audience is that hard, I mean, you're winning.
I totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. And that's a great transition to Soul Choice Theater. Alton, can you enlighten everyone on the creative side as a director versus distributors stealing money?
As a director and a filmmaker, one of my core values is I went through the starving artist phase for quite some time as a filmmaker, you know what I mean? And it got old, and I realized this, and I had to learn the hard way that this is the entertainment business, right? Mm-hmm. So even if as an artist you don't want to start a business, I want to urge you to at least learn how to think like one, because that allows you. That's what helped me when I did Crew. Crew was the first movie that I actually made, and I owned, and I made a profit on, and it grew our business. You see what I mean?
Awesome,
and the other 6 movies I made before that, I didn't make no money on those movies. You know what I mean? They were owned by other people, and even though I had percentages of those movies, there's a lot of creative bookkeeping. But I'm not going to say that you taint your whole idea of doing business with distributors. You just have to put some checks and balances in with how you do this. And if you want to do that, I mean, the simplest way to doing that is when you start a company, just make sure you're on the LLC. You know what I mean? Make sure that when the checks get cashed, your name is on there too. So that when the checks do get cashed, you and your team are all on the LLC. I would say the worst part about people who collaborate sometimes is, say you and me, Allen, you and I go start a business. We making money online, and we doing it for fun to start. But then all of a sudden HBO come in, and they're like, we want this. Well, we got 10 people that don't have no paperwork, and you and I feel like we built it, so we just gonna take the bag. And now we got all the people that built with us sour. So get your paperwork together at the very top. And like one of my mentors, Jeff Friday, said, get the uncomfortable part out the way first.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Get the paperwork done, and then let's have fun and go create. You know what I mean?
Totally agree, brother.
Nothing open. Then after that, you can just go create from a very, very honest and inspirational place. And you all eat together at the end of the day when it's all said and done.
Totally agree. That's very important. Independent filmmakers, take notes to what he's saying, guys. I have a note from I am JJ Green. He keeping it real. I heard JJ Green is your favorite actor to direct. Is this true?
He's a wonderful, talented individual. Yes, I enjoy working with JJ on POV.
Awesome. Great job, JJ. Great job on that, on your performance, brother. All right. Next question comes from Cynthia McKnight. What if you just have creative concepts and just desire a platform to share your ideas? I guess she's asking, where do you submit them, I'm guessing?
You can submit to studio@grximmersive.com. But just do a general introduction, and then somebody will get back to you with a form that we use for submissions.
And say that email again one more time for me, Alton.
studio@grximmersive.com.
Awesome, guys. Take those notes down.
Submit a general inquiry, and then we'll have somebody get back with you about the submission process.
Copy you. Next question comes from Joel Foreman. Do you have any personal passion projects you are working on?
Yeah, I've always been really passionate about music and immersive technology. And right now we're working on a project with Verizon Innovative Learning with their music education, with their STEM education program. And we're creating a music education virtual reality app for music collaboration. And Pharrell is their ambassador for their music lab they're going to be launching soon. And I'm really excited about that project. I'm really passionate about that project. And then I have a program with Facebook and Oculus where we go to HBCUs and we teach them about immersive technologies and immersive storytelling. So we've been touring the schools, and going out there, at least pre-COVID we were, and now we're doing this online until we come back up in the fall to continue to, share opportunities in the immersive space. And then, getting POV out there. And I'm really passionate about aquaponics. That's one of my next things. Which is,
Mhm.
how do we teach communities how to leverage technology and create, just manage natural resources for themselves.
Mhm.
I'm really passionate about that, and gaming. So you're gonna see some video games coming soon. What I'm really passionate about as well.
Mhm. Very excited about that. And last question before we go to my last three questions. This has to be the last question, guys. From Aya Wick, is augmented reality starting to gain traction with artists and creatives?
Oh, 100%. In fact, I think that I'm not saying I think. If you look up some of the stats, augmented reality is a lot more accessible than virtual reality as it stands right now, and which means anyone who has a phone, and that whether it be Android or iPhone, that can launch augmented reality applications. That's an opportunity. That's distribution right there. So
Mhm.
that's an audience right now you can tap into, and you can create an augmented reality storytelling series. I mean, it's some of the same process as it would be with creating a movie in 2D, except it's frameless. So when you think about it like that, you're still storytelling. It's just a frameless environment that you're crafting narratives in. So augmented reality is a great space to research and tackle. And we've done some augmented reality stories. And if you look at some of these companies, they're putting a lot into AR. You look at Pokemon Go. You look
Mhm.
at Apple, who's moving into AR. Facebook with the AR cloud. That's a very big marketplace to look at as a storyteller. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. And that kind of concludes our Q&A session. I have two more questions on my end. We are on the line with the talented Alton Glass. I'm soaking all this in just how you all are. So, Alton, what advice would you give to that, person out there, writer, producer, director, actor, who want instant success right now? They don't want to really, they see the red carpets and the glitz and the glamour and the fun stuff of what you do and other directors. But what advice would you give to that person who want instant success right now and don't want to go through the process?
Well, first I would say you have to define what success is to you first,
Mm,
because that's a never-ending, uh, bottomless journey, right?
hmm Yeah.
Because you're chasing something and you're just thinking about you want to be successful. And sometimes that comes in looking at other things, right?
hmm
But we always see the person who won the Oscar and we see them excited, but we
hmm
don't necessarily know the journey, right?
Exactly.
And I think that everyone may not get the Oscar. So I think what's important is to first really sit back and define what success is to you.
hmm
And for me, I had to define success for me was every day I wake up above 6 feet above the ground. That's success for me because I got another opportunity.
Yeah.
So, and I define the success for myself and not let nobody define it for you. Because you're like, well, I won't ever feel successful until I've made X amount of movies, X amount of dollars. You setting yourself up for failure off the top, right?
hmm
So really understand what your DNA, what's your DNA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get a chance to sit with yourself and really understand what's your deep narrative analysis of who you are, what you want to present, where you want to go,
hmm
and what's going to make you happy and content with your journey. I'm not saying don't set the standards high, don't set the bar high, but when you set this roadmap, set the incremental growth, right? Okay, I want to, and for the first 3 months, I want to be able to learn how to use the camera.
hmm
6 months from now, I want to go shoot uh, 2 minutes short. A year from now, I want to do X, Y, and Z. We look at the end result, and we look up, and 5 years has gone by, and
hmm
we're like, man, I hadn't made anything. You see what I mean?
hmm
So just get the steps down, and measure, make it all measurable, because that's what you can now use to show people when you're all ready for investors to say, look at what I've done. I started here and I've done boom, 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 boom. Hey, you
hmm
know what, guys? I might do a Kickstarter. Look at what I've done. I need 25,000. Or you want to go to investor? Look what I've done in these 3 years. I need $5 million to go
hmm
do this now. Look at the relations I've made. So keep track of those steps in that process, and also know that you're growing, and don't be a perfectionist, because that was one of my problems when I first
Mm.
and that's still one of my problems. Like
Yeah.
I'm a perfectionist, so I might hold on to stuff too long.
hmm
You know, get it out there and iterate on it. You know what I mean? Because once you finish with it, it's no longer yours anyway.
Mm.
Let the world give you feedback and help you grow, but just don't beat yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
So just get out there and go do it. You know, don't wait for permission. Don't ask for permission to do anything. Just do it, and you'll figure it out. If you want it bad enough, you'll figure it out.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And my last question before it cuts off, Alton, what advice would you give that writer, producer, director, actor out there who's listening to you and they are discouraged though? They hear what you're saying, but they're discouraged. They feel like it will never happen for them. They need someone to just uplift them. What advice would you give them from someone of your from you?
You know what? I don't necessarily think that person that voice will probably ever leave. I think the first thing you need to do is make friends with that voice, right? And really get an understanding. Well, why are you here? What kind of conversation? What's driving that, right? Because that's going to help you make that your best friend, because you're going to always go through those moments. You may put a movie out and it become a hit, right? And everybody love you. And then you go back and do your next movie, you feeling good, and it bombed, and then that voice is right back. You got lucky the first time. You know what I mean? You really ain't hot as you thought you were. So get to know, embrace those, get to know their name, right? Those voices, and use that to continue to know that the journey is going to be that way. It's not going to go away. But as long as you keep pushing forward, figure out something that gives you that level of achievement to say, bam, okay, I did that. Like for me, it was, when I got into VR, it was very discouraging. I wrote my first VR short. I took it to companies. They said, well, you're going to need 200,000. Another person, you're going to need 500,000. And I'm like, damn. I was discouraged.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? Maybe I got to go learn a little bit more. Maybe I got to go do more than I need to, save a little money here. And then I did one thing that helped build my confidence. I bought a little bitty camera, and I learned how to make a little bitty video on a VR camera. And I just built my confidence up. You know what I mean? Little bitty goals to help me build my confidence up. Say, I can do this. And over time, I stuck with it. And I started to meet other people who wanted to do some of the same things. And we built this thing together. You know?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. We were on the line with the talented Alton Glass, writer, producer, director, and immersive storyteller. His email, and one more time for the last people, studio@grx.immersive. Studio@grx.immersive.
No dot. No dot.
Oh, it's no dot? Okay.
It's just, the name of the company is GRX Immersive Lab. So if you Google it, it'll pop up.
It'll pop up, yeah.
The website will have all the contact information on there, but it's GRX Immersive is the company. And, you know, we're here to support. You know, we built an academy to be able to offer resources and tools so that we can support the future filmmakers and the world builders, you know what I mean, of tomorrow. And I just want to encourage y'all to keep putting in that work. You know what I mean? The opportunity is there. And if it's not there, you got to create it.
Totally agree. Thank you so much, Alton. You are such an inspiration. And thank you for a special episode of Director's Corner, episode 15. My brother. Thank you, man.
I appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, brother. All right, y'all.